What's up, everybody? Welcome in to a Buffalo Sports Thursday. All right, let's go. Sounds like the audio is good. Looks like the audio is good. Got some people hanging out with us. Feel free to jump in chat. We're gonna be talking mostly, I'd say, NFL today. We'll touch on Buffalo sports. We're gonna move around the docket a little bit. That includes some NFL, probably mostly NFL, to be honest with you. Some dedicated Bills talk, a little bit of Sabres talk, and we'll be joined here in a little bit by our guy Sterls. Him and I did a regular weekly Bills podcast a couple years ago. Last year, we both just had life happen. And so we hadn't been doing any consistent streaming, really any streaming at all, to be honest. And this year, we both kind of looked at each other and we're like, we need to yell about stuff. We got to bark a little bit. So he's going to come back on. We're going to talk. And so that should be fun because him and I, we always get at it a little bit when we're talking about sports. And so it'll be good to have him back and talking sports for a little while. It'll be my first time using this new software that we're doing to get him on here, so we'll see how that works. But I feel pretty confident about it. I think we got it handled. So whoever you are, however you got here, why ever you're here, I appreciate everybody for jumping in. Try to keep it entertaining, of course, but we are talking about Buffalo sports, so we'll do that specifically for the first little bit here, at least until Sterls get on. I feel like when Sterls gets on, we'll do some NFL talk, some Bills talk, and then we'll kind of broaden it out more than I will to start. But to start, I do want to start with a couple news and notes from today for the Buffalo Bills training camp today. And the big news was that C.J. Gardner-Johnson was back in camp today. Just days removed from what a lot of us thought might be the end of his season. He's back out there and apparently full go. So that is a little bit crazy to me. Let's get this up here. Give me one sec. Course, it doesn't want to work right now, but that's okay. We can make it work. Let's see. See, don't tell me you don't want to be up here. I'm going to make you. Okay, let's get this. Okay, so this is the SB Nation article. And honestly, there's not a whole lot to the reporting from camp today that CJ was out there. It's just he was out there and he was full, which every reporter that I've read has said that it changes the vibe of the practice and the camp when he's out there. He has so much gravity when he's out there that it changes the practice, changes the intensity, changes the chippiness. So it's one of those things where, yes, it's a big deal that he's out there, but I don't know that I love him being out there, especially so soon. So when he got hurt, initial reports were, hey, look out, could be a season ender, might be an Achilles tear. That quickly got squashed. Deion Dawkins came out, said that he thinks he's fine. Adam Schefter then reported that it was just a calf strain and it wasn't anything too serious, which is all great. But I have seen time and time again these soft tissue injuries that linger for an entire season. And particularly in the case of calf injuries, we do see that lead to Achilles injuries from time to time. So immediately when people said he was okay, the first thing I said is like, I don't want to see him till November. And that's half joking, but also like half true. I think it's important that he's learning the defense, that he's a leader, that he's out there, and I'm sure that's what he wants. But I think you should shut him down right now and just make sure that thing is fully healed. Because if he spends the whole season limping around on it and it's just bothering him all year, you're not going to get the best of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And it's one of those things that he won't complain about. He won't be on the injury report, or he'll be on the injury report every single week. And they'll just, it'll be the same thing, and we won't know the severity of it because they'll hide it. And I want them to shut him down and make him healthy. I know he wants to play against the Texans. I know he wants to play against the Lions. The man has made his way around the NFL, and it's part of that big, loud personality, which is why he's had to move from stop to stop. You know what I mean? So for me, it's one of those situations where, listen, dog, I know you want to play the first couple weeks. I don't want to see you till week 4. I don't want to see you till I know what my Halloween costume is, and it's just, I don't need you in September. I need you in February, right? Like, I need you in January. I need you in February. And so it's hard for me to get behind that. Not only was he back, but he was also a full participant. There's just no need for it now. I don't want him to play any preseason games. If you want him in like walkthroughs for practice, that's fine, but I don't want him in going full in practice. And I would hold him out the first couple games unless you can tell me that he's 100%. So I think it's great news that he's back. I think it's awesome what it does for the team and the game and the practice, that is. I love the fact that he brings a little bit of extra edge to the field. I'm about all that. I just am in a spot where I want him healthy for a playoff run, and that to me just trumps everything. You know what I mean? It's just more important than anything else is him being completely healthy when we get to January. So that's the first news from camp today. The other stuff from camp, I think it's really interesting that DJ Moore has been quote unquote surprising people. He's an incredible player. He's a great wide receiver. I haven't gotten to get on and give my thoughts about him yet, but I understand he had a down year last year. I don't think that means that he's getting older or something like that. I think it's a situation where he wasn't a fit with the head coach. They brought in some other guys, and he didn't get as much volume. But he has constantly been on the field and available for the majority of the games. I don't think he's had a season where he's missed any games, but I would have to go back and look. But he plays 17 games a year, and he goes for 1,000 yards, and that's just what DJ Moore does. And so it's nice to hear reporters say, like, man, you didn't realize how dominant he is, but he's dominating out there. But that being said, I was very happy with the pickup and was a believer in it when they made it. Was the price a little bit high? Sure, we can talk about that. But in terms of the player that you're getting, I think you're getting a number one wide receiver. Don't forget, this guy a couple years ago signed the largest contract in Chicago Bears history. Like, that should say something about the dude and the type of person he is too, not just the player. So I'm expecting this from him, and I hope he comes in as is a true number one. And I talk about this a lot, kind of with like a baseball connotation, but when you're looking at a pitching rotation and you have a guy who's really a number two pitching in the ace in the number one spot, he's going against all the other aces and he's not going to look as good. So then when you go get an ace and put him in there, it slots everybody in the right spot. And those guys can thrive because they're not being asked to do more than they're capable of doing. DJ Moore, is he going to be the best wide receiver in the league? No, I don't think so. But can he be a true number one wide receiver? Absolutely. So if you slot him in as a true number one, and then, can Khalil Shakir be one of the best number two wide receivers in the league? Yeah, I do. I think he can do that, right? Can Joshua Palmer be a sufficient outside receiver and a good number three? Sure. And now you're talking about putting guys where their skill sets fit better. It also goes to Keon Coleman and saying, like, don't you want a young guy that you can develop? See if you can get that Ravens game out of him on a more consistent basis. 7 catches over 100 yards. And I know he didn't do much after that, but I'm not ready to give up on him. And if he's my fourth option, I might have to tell him, brother, you got to figure out how to play some special teams. But I don't mind having a young developing wide receiver as my fourth option. And we haven't even talked about tight ends or backs yet. So in terms of volume and catching passes, Coleman now has time to develop. Palmer, it was injury problems last year. I don't think he played poorly, but you got to be available. That's part of it. It's important. So in my head, I think it just slots everybody into better situations. And hopefully Joe Brady can find ways to take advantage of those matchups when you've got somebody like, Dawson Knox or Cook who's going to be on a linebacker as you sort through all these options. You know what I mean? How do you find people and hurt them that way is going to be a really important part of this. And hopefully, being a little bit more aggressive, looking more like the Rams and the Lions game from 2 years ago, and is what's on the docket. I think that's what all Bills fans want. And I think that's what Josh Allen wants too, is just go nuclear, like just unleash and see if you can be the team that scores 40 points a game. I think they have enough talent there. And to that end, I kind of want to talk about the whole it's Josh Allen and nobody thing, which has gotten quieter over the last couple of years, but I get really frustrated with it. If you don't like Brandon Beane, that's fine. I'm not here to convince you that you should, but I am here to tell you, like, it's not Josh Allen and nobody. And as people have identified problems with the Bills, they've gotten fixed. So when Josh first came to the team, if you remember, the big problem was the offensive line. That's why we're drafting guys like Cody Ford, right? And what has happened over the years? Well, you got a top 5 offensive line now. And if you look at the metrics from the past couple of years or rankings from people who, do that sort of thing, they're constantly in the top 5 of offensive lines. You got 2 cornerstone tackles. You got a great center who you just re-signed, and you've had a draft pick at one guard who's been cheap and good, not great, but good, solid. And on the other side, you've had a revolving door at the other guard, but you keep finding people to put in there who are good and confident and competent and go get paid either at, like McGovern at a different position or like Edwards at a different place. You know what I mean? And so you have this situation where the biggest problem with the Bills, there were 2, you could say quarterback was the biggest problem with the Bills when Brandon Beane got here. He fixed that. The offensive line was the big problem in his early years. He fixed that. And then if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, before the whole wide receiver conversation came into play, it was, well, imagine if he gave Josh Allen a running game, right? Well, guess what? You had the NFL's leading rusher last year. I think he fixed that problem too. And part and parcel of that is that you fix the offensive line, which makes the running game go. And for a little while there, it was like, who's going to play tight end? Well, now you got 3 of them who you can put on the field and be happy with. and they all excel at different things, but it just goes to show you, like, I don't think it's Josh Allen and nobody. I think their wide receiver room is okay. I think their tight end room is good. I think their running back room is great. And I think their offensive line is great. And so I just don't know where this conversation comes from that Josh Allen's doing it all by himself. The only reason that conversation even started was because they let go of veterans. And yes, when you let go of veterans, there's going to be a turnover. There's going to be change. You're going to have to learn new names. And I just don't think the national media learned the new names. But it turns out 2 years ago, those names got you to the AFC Championship game. And last year, they got you to the divisional round of the playoffs. And as much as I love Josh Allen, and I think he's a gigantic part of that, he's not the only part of that. So I just don't know where this comes from, where it's Josh Allen and he's all alone on that roster. I think, if anything, you should be given more love to the rest of the Bills' offensive roster, because I don't think they get enough play in the national media. But I think Shakir's a really good wide receiver. I think DJ Moore is going to be a great wide receiver. Knox has been a productive tight end. Hawes does things that he's never going to get praise for, but he's an incredible run blocking tight end, and made some good catches last year. And, Kincaid, you hope he can stay healthy. It's certainly part of his story, but he's a dynamic tight end. There's no doubt about it. So I can't stand when people get in on that. That was my little diatribe I wanted to get off on. It's interesting, though, because, and I kind of want to save this for when Sterls gets on, but there is an article from Bill Barnwell about who the Hall of Famers on each team are. With the Hall of Fame game coming up, who do you think on the team is a Hall of Famer? And, he rates them as, in, close, work to do, that kind of thing. But it's not just Josh Allen on the list. I'll just spoil it by saying that. But I'll save it for when Sterls hops on. But, Josh Allen certainly has built a Hall of Fame type resume. I think he'll be in there no matter what. But, there's still some lines to fill. You know what I mean? And the people who want to defend Jimbo and not say that, Allen is the best quarterback they've ever had, I think it's fair to do. So that's an interesting discussion. We'll get into it with Sterls, but fun to talk about. But I think it just goes to show you that this roster is not as devoid of talent as some would have you think. And to that end, there was an article from ESPN, and I have to recenter this. So give me just a second here while I do that. But there's an article from ESPN talking about potential trades that could still happen for 2026 training camp, which is interesting to talk about, no doubt. But one of the things on the list is Keon Coleman to the Colts for a 2027 fourth round pick. And my first thought is just, why? Why would you do that? You've gotten over, for the most part, the comments from the owner. They were not bright. Fair. But what do the Bills gain getting a fourth round pick for a second pick? And, it's really a swap because they have you sending a six to the Colts as well. I just don't see the point in doing this at all. You have a young wide receiver who has shown flashes of success in the league. They have been very minimal, but there have been flashes of success in the league. His biggest problem is discipline. What happens as somebody gets older? hopefully he realizes things like, yeah, well, listen, if you want to make it anywhere in the NFL, we better start fixing that discipline issue. Because that's not a problem just for Buffalo. Missing meetings, showing up late, like that's not a problem just in the Buffalo Bills organization. If you go to any organization and do that, you're going to have the same problem. So hopefully he realizes that like he's got to mature a little bit. He's got to take this seriously. This is not for fun anymore. It was for fun when you were in high school. And you can argue if college is still for fun or not, because those guys are getting paid lots of money. So if you want to call that a job, I'll absolutely let you. But like, this is your career, and you got to take it seriously. So hopefully that has been impressed upon him, and I know that you don't want to do it the way that the owner did it, but the owner did it. So here we are. I don't see how a 4th round pick, a pick swap, and giving up a 2nd round pick who's shown flashes of being good, I don't see how it helps you win the Super Bowl this year, because it definitely doesn't. And I don't see how it helps you win the Super Bowl next year or the year after that or the year after that. Maybe you get lucky and hit on a 4th round pick, but there's just no advantage to that trade for the Bills. So unless somebody who is there and reporting on it wants to tell me that he's a problem in camp, he's got a bad attitude, he's not working hard, he's poisoning kind of the vibe there, okay, yeah, then I don't even care what you get for him, then get him out of there. But that, I haven't heard a single word of that. I've heard nothing but he's working hard and a good soldier. And so why would you trade him? What is the point? Because if you remember that game against, the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional, what was that now? 4 years ago? You got Trent Sherfield dropping balls on the outside. I don't want to get back there. I want to keep my wide receiver depth. And I love the fact that I've got Brandon Cooks in my back pocket if I decide that I need more depth at that position. Could be a situation where when you get into the regular season, you sign him to the practice squad, just like you did for Gabe Davis and Jordan Poyer last year, and those guys ended up contributing. So I'm on the phone with Brandon Cooks if I'm Brandon Beane, and I'm saying, hey man, enjoy an extended summer. Go to the beach, hang out, make sure you're in shape, make sure you hit those workouts. We'll sign you week 1 to the practice squad. And, if you want to be here, that'll be your training camp, and then we'll go from there. Why not? There's no point in getting him hurt, having him in camp. So, I don't, it's not like he's injury prone. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, you don't need him right now. I want you to have that kind of depth. I loved you having Gabe Davis to come in last year and be a competent wide receiver when you had injuries happen. And I want you to be able to do that going forward this year as well. So to that end, I don't want you trading Keon Coleman. I want him on the roster. I want depth at wide receiver on the roster. I think that is important if you are trying to win a Super Bowl this year is having that depth. So that's my big takeaway from that. I think it's obviously summertime early camp fodder for ESPN. Why does it keep freezing when I go here? But it's, fun to discuss. I just personally for that particular situation, I don't see any advantage to the Buffalo Bills in trading him away. Okay. What do I want next? It's so crazy. All right, so let me credit that. Seth Walder wrote that article for ESPN. Let's jump over, talk a little bit of Sabres. Obviously, we are in the dead period for hockey, so there's not a ton to talk about, but we'll do a little bit of hockey before we get Sterls on here in just a little bit. Let's see here if I can get this back up. Okay. All right. So one of the things I wanted to talk, actually, let's start with the schedule. So schedule came out. Obviously, it's been out for a little while now. For the most part, I don't think there's anything earth-shattering on here. You open at Columbus. Your home opener is Chicago. All things, of course, we're looking forward to. I know the first thing that everybody is looking for is the first game with Tampa Bay. I'm in love with the fact that it's a home game. That one's going to be heavy. Your first game with Montreal, I think, is going to be a big deal as well. But that's going to be in Montreal. You don't see them again for a while. You don't see them again until December. And same thing with Tampa Bay. Oh, no, you do get them pretty close to each other. So, and I'm sure Boston's going to have something a little bit extra for you. You don't see them till super late in the season. Where are they even? Here you go. January 5th is the first time you see Boston in Boston. So I'm sure they're going to have a little bit extra for you, knocking them out of the playoffs as well. But here's the big thing for me. If you look down here, 5 of your last 6 are at home. Your last 6 are Boston, Toronto, Tampa, Boston, Detroit. If you're in another playoff race, I mean, that is going to be an intense couple of weeks of hockey right there. And there's a lot of seeding and maybe even winning the division that could come down to those last 5 games. You get 4 of them at home, and your away game in that stretch is Toronto. So I just found that really noteworthy. And then when I saw that, I started counting backwards. And it turns out, I think it's 15 of their last 21 are at home. So if you go to this February 26th game versus Ottawa at home, if you look from here all the way down, there's 6 road games. From the end of February until April, there's 6 road games. And so I think that's awesome. But it's one of those things where I feel like it's going to have a huge sway over the season. That, one, you're going to be playing so many road games in the first 2/3, 3/4 of your schedule. And then you're going to have so many home games in that last third or quarter of the schedule. Even their road trips in that time aren't crazy. So, if you look here, you've got Detroit, Minnesota road trip. You've got New York, Boston road trip. You've got St. Louis, Nashville road trip. They're all 2 gamers, and it's not crazy flights from one to the other. The end of this schedule for the Sabres is super favorable. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where if you look at it top to bottom, you might miss something like that, but at the very end, it's really favorable for the Sabres. Starshio, what's up, dog? Good to have you back, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Sterls coming back on in a little bit, and we'll hang with him as well. So that's happening, but good to have you back. We're doing Buffalo sports today, so fair warning, but we'll talk some overall NFL too with the Hall of Fame game going on. And for those of you who told me not to bet the Hall of Fame game, how dare you? It's the first football game in 7 months. How dare you? Tyler Columbus, I'm looking at you. You know what I mean? How have I been? Let's not talk about that. It's not been great. But that's why we're here, man. We're hanging out, having some fun. But I hope you've been well. I hope life's been good. And hopefully we'll see you back here. We're doing sports on Mondays. We're doing Denver sports, and Thursdays we're doing Buffalo sports, and of course we'll talk kind of sports in general over that time. So, oh man, I was doing all this, and you can't even freaking see what I was highlighting. Why didn't somebody say something to me? Okay, hold on. Let me fix it so you can see. There we go. Okay, so let me just make the point again, since now you can actually see this on the screen. Here you go. 5 of your last 6 at home. And we can even move it over because we don't need ticket prices. You know what I mean? Okay. So like I was saying for the Sabres, 5 of your last 6 at home. Your road trips are little 2-game stops. And if you go all the way back to February 26th here, I mean, you got 2/3 of your, or a third of your schedule at the end here is mostly home games from here all the way down. It is super favorable. So, sorry that you couldn't see that before, but it's just such a boon, I think, for the Sabres in that situation. Okay, real quick, let's talk about their lineups and who they've signed and who they've let go. So this is, Daily Faceoff puts up projected lines. Doesn't mean that this is what it'll be, but, when you're looking at it, you think Kulich is your starting. I mean, I know that was the talk all last offseason, was that Kulich was going to be your 1C. Do you think Benson is a top wing guy? I love him to death. Let's make that crystal clear. We were watching, I think, the very first playoff game, my buddy and I, with one of his friends who's a big hockey guy but hadn't watched a ton of Sabres. And he's just like, who is that guy? Who's the dude for them? And I'm like, that's kind of their problem, is that they don't have one. But if you're looking for the guy who's like the heartbeat, has the jam, it's Six. Six is the jam guy. I love him to death. I love his motor. I love how he plays. It's, I think, big shoes. He's going to need to continue to develop if he's going to be a top line winger. I think he's the kind of guy who maybe would be better as a second liner. But he also is a huge pest and a hard worker. So maybe he does great on the top line. But you let a top line winger go in Alex Tuch, and I know he didn't play like that in the playoffs. That's the first thing that everybody wants to say. Hey, when we got to the games that really mattered, Tuch disappeared. Okay. You have to find a top-line winger for the entire season now. And he got paid a lot in Washington. I don't think you could have given him that deal. I don't even know if I would have wanted to give him that deal. But I do think you have to ask the question, can Benson fill that top-line winger role? I think too many people are dismissive of that question and just kind of saying, oh yeah, definitely. Not sure about that. So in my eyes, 2 of your top 3 spots on your top line are question marks. And then it begs the question of, does Tage play center? Does Tage play wing? He had a couple breakdowns defensively in the playoffs last year. And I just looked at my friends and I'm like, your top line center can't do that. The best player on your team can't do that. So, listen, there's not a lot of space on this roster. I love that they signed Malenstein long term. You don't normally see 6-year deals for fourth liners. The dude, again, him and Benson with the jam. There was a time last year where they were playing on the same line, and it was just, I mean, man, gritty hockey. It was beautiful. So, it's one of those situations where you have a lot of talent coming up. I love Helenius. I love Ostland. I'm glad they gave Krebs a deal. He's one of those guys you can put in a bunch of spots, super versatile. Jack Quinn, I don't know if I've gotten enough from, but that's because you want to see them continue to improve. Same thing with Doan. So what that all leads to for me is, do we need to make a trade to turn what is promising depth into a good player? And for the people who were like, I don't want Patrick Kane on this team, blah, 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 I can understand the thought process there, because if you go into the season with a roster that looks like this, and you're right, this team is going to be really good for a really long time. But if you're wrong, it's the kind of roster that can fall apart really quickly. So what does a guy like Dylan Larkin do? I think a lot. I think much like the conversation with DJ Moore slotting in at wide receiver, I think if you put a guy like Dylan Larkin on this roster and re-slot everything from the top down there, and your top line for sure is Thompson and Larkin, and then you can try other guys out with them. Does Benson fit? Does Doan fit? Can you put an Ostland there, even though he's young, with two heady vets, and, really have a clicking first line there? And then you're talking about Doan and Benson on the second line and really making it a nightmare to play against. So it just feels like to me like you've lost two of your top 7 players with Tuck and Byram. It just feels like to me the roster is calling out for one more move, and a big one. I like the Zellweger move. Crevier, we'll see. People seem to be real high that he could be Powers' line mate. But I still think your defense is going to be great. I don't think this is how this looks at all, but it'll be interesting to see how they put together a power play unit. It was a big problem last year. This is going to be super interesting to watch. You lost a bunch of guys who played a lot of minutes on this. Greenway, Tuck, so this, I think they have the guys to fill this penalty kill unit effectively, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. And then, of course, as you're talking about big moves, you're looking at that goaltender and saying, is that the failing of this Sabre team? Is that the thing that's going to hold it back? I'm presenting this new option that maybe it's the top line that could hold it back, but if you're looking objectively at the postseason last year, I think it really feels like goalie is what let them down. No doubt, somebody like Hellebuck would just send a charge through the NHL, much less Buffalo. So I know those are the two big fish still out there, and that probably every team. I shouldn't say that. I mean, if you have a guy, you have a guy. I think most NHL teams are kicking around like, oh, would we trade for Hellebuck? Or, oh, would we trade for Larkin? I don't think it matters where you are in the NHL. You're just kind of being like, would that work? I think that would work. But I think particularly in Buffalo, those two guys would be really important and fit really well on top of it. Now, what do you have to give away? Yeah, I mean, I think you have to give away some important depth that you have, including one of these guys who is already up here, who you're already counting on, and you expect to be a part of this team, like an Ostland or a Hellenis. And I mean, that would be tough for me to part with those guys. But when you're talking about bringing in impact players like that, I think that's the ticket. You know what I mean? I think that's what pushes the Sabres into Stanley Cup contender category rather than just solid playoff team. Um, so obviously we'll talk more hockey as kind of the year starts to heat up here. We're kind of in the dead middle of summer, but I did want to spend just a little bit of time talking about them before we just talk all NFL. Speaking of which, Hall of Fame game about to kick off right now. Still hate that weird kickoff formation from the UFL, but injuries were down, so that's probably never going to change. I just don't understand why you couldn't do that at where he kicks off the ball. You know, never made sense to me. If I may go on a diatribe here, did you have a ton of injuries and punts? Why aren't we changing punts? Oh, because everybody is right next to each other, just at the line of scrimmage, and so there's not as many injuries. So we couldn't do that with kickoffs too. You couldn't do the same exact thing you did, but put all the guys where the kicker is, so we didn't have all this BS about landing zones and all that kind of stuff, you know? And when they're allowed to leave when he kicks the ball because they're right next to the ball. You know what I mean? I think he made it more complicated than you had to. It drives me crazy. But anyway, I've lost myself here. It is a Buffalo Sports Thursday. Sterls is going to be joining us here in a little bit, as long as I can make all the doodads work. I will be streaming every day. I'm going to stream different stuff every day. Denver Sports Monday, Eve Tuesday, D&D on Wednesday, Buffalo Sports on Thursday, and then kind of a free-for-all on Fridays. So we'll be all over the map. I don't know if I could stream every day about anything and not want to kill myself. So I know that's not the normal thing that people do, but that's how we're going to run the stream. So hopefully if you're into one of the things I stream about, you can come back that day every week and kick it with us. Let's take a quick break right here. Get a drink for the Hall of Fame game as we watch Kenny Pickett sling it around a little bit. And we will be back. We'll run some ads to kill the pre-roll for people who join us. And then we'll kind of talk big picture, Bills and the NFL coming up next. So stick with us, and we will be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. I got to remember not to be too excitable in the microphone when I come back from commercial, because a couple people have told me that, the commercial is silent and then all of a sudden I'm screaming at them again. So I apologize for that. I'll try to make it more gradual as I come back here. Mental health guy back in the chat. What's up, dog? It's good to see you. Sterls going to be joining us here in a little bit, so hopefully you stick around for that. Let's see. You got a question for me about the Bills. Let's go. What is your expectation for Joe Brady in year one as head coach? Any improvements you want to see from him? And by the way, Spider-Man wasn't better than the Odyssey. I'm going to talk about that. I thought the Odyssey, well, I'm going to do the movie review first. I thought the Odyssey was very good. This is like talking about Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen for MVP. Okay. I'm not slandering one to raise up the other. I think they were both terrific. I do think there are reasons why one was better than the other. I think one was better than the other. I love Matt Damon as an actor. I don't think it was his best role. And I have caught in a lot of flack for saying that. My mom thought I was crazy. But he pulled me out of it a little bit. Like, I did not feel like immersed in it with his acting. I thought he was good. But the fact that it was Matt Damon jarred me a couple times, and I didn't think it was his best role. I didn't love the way they handled some of it, but for the most part, I thought he did a really good job. I thought Anne Hathaway ate. She was terrific. I thought Tom Holland was terrific. The Odyssey was good. I don't think it was as much as it was hyped up to be. Spider-Man, on the other hand, wasn't hyped up, and I think the expectations for both of them going into it play a big factor in what I thought of them. And so Spider-Man, for me, wasn't as hyped up going into it. I had liked the other Spider-Mans, but they had been progressively getting worse. I thought Tom Holland was a good Spider-Man. I thought the heel turn in the movie was great. I thought it made you feel feelings. Thought it made you ask questions of yourself and your own morals. You know, how would you handle the situation? How would you handle things? And I thought Sadie Sink was terrific. It was just, at the end of that movie, just naturally, and that's when I tweeted that out, at the end of Spider-Man, I was just like, that was such a good movie. And I didn't do that at the end of the Odyssey. And so my immediate reaction was, Spider-Man was better than the Odyssey. I'm sorry. I really think it was. So let's spend a couple minutes on it like that. You know what I mean? Can I just tell you how awesome it is to have football on my TV right now? Like, I'm the guy who dials up the old school, dials up the YouTube games that were like from the past couple of years. I'm not talking like a 1970s game. I'm talking like the Bills Bengals game from last year or whatever. And I'm the kind of sicko that doesn't just dial that up and put on the hey, here's the quicker version of the game that's, 45 minutes long, and it's just the plays cut back to back and no dead time. And no, I'm this sicko that puts on the 3.5 hour. We run this, we put commercials in it, you get all the commentary. Like, I'm that guy. So I know I have a problem. It's okay. But I just freaking love football, man, and it's back on my TV. I've been watching a little bit of baseball recently, and it just, just doesn't do the same thing for me. So I'm just psyched that there's football on my TV right now. Yeah, I was. Listen, I tried not to. I tried not to say too much about the World Cup because I'm no expert. I know that. But with my current situation, I watch pretty much every game this year of the World Cup. I missed like maybe 10. And so, you know, it was something that was on during summertime. We gave it a shot. I just love sports. You know what I mean? I love sports. I love competition. It's the first reality show. You know what I mean? And you just can't beat it. The drama, the competitiveness, and especially when you've got something like that. Playing for your country every 4 years, like the drama, the passion. You can't write a script like it, ever. Are you going to start following any leagues? I don't think so. I love sports. I keep a Twitter feed follow on the Colorado Rapids. I think the big thing is I like if I follow something, I like to know enough about it to speak about it intelligently. And it would take a lot of research for me to feel comfortable speaking about soccer intelligently. And I don't love it. You know what I mean? What I would say about loving it is, and I know soccer people will complain, I'll compare it to baseball here in a minute because I know that's the argument that's going to come up. But it's so boring. Like, the things that happen, like, there's excitement on, like, every play in football. And I know there's a lot of walking around in between. But I feel like the walking around in soccer happens 75% of the game. And it's just, one team knows the other team is better, so they're just passing it back and forth around the box, and it's just boring, man. It's just the teams are too good, and so in some sports, when both teams are really good, it makes for great television. I feel like in soccer, when both teams are really good, it makes for a super boring game. I'm sorry. I referenced it earlier in this stream, but if you remember back to like Bills Lions from a couple years ago, or Bills Rams from a couple years ago, or Rams Chiefs from like 5 years ago, maybe even 6. Like, when two really good teams get together for football, man, you get a freaking football game that you don't forget. And when two really good teams get together for soccer, it's kind of like, okay, well, it happened. So no, I don't think I'll start following any leagues. I said I'd address the comparison to baseball. For me, in baseball, there's strategy between every pitch. And before I really knew the strategy, I was bored with it when I was a kid too. Much the same way as soccer. But as I was a catcher for a little while, and as I started getting older, I realized the cat and mouse game that's going on with every pitch. And so it's like a chess match as well as a sport. And I came to love the fact that, like, there's no clock. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of game. And I actually boomer central here, but I hate that they've made the games quicker. I was fine with 4-hour baseball games. What else am I going to do on a summer night and then flip that on and get on my computer? And I don't, like, it doesn't lock me in like football does, but I'd have it on in the background while I was doing stuff at home. And so, it's one of those things. that I just I just don't see myself getting into soccer. Plus, football season's back, baby. Let's go. I am so ready. There's football on my TV right now. Okay. You did put Bill's questions in there, so let's jump on those real quick. Expectations for Brady as a year one head coach. I think even he's acknowledged it. The expectation hasn't changed. The expectation is for the Buffalo Bills. It is not for Joe Brady. And so Joe Brady took this job knowing full well what the expectations were for this team. I'm watching the Hall of Fame game right now. My boy better be in a polo shirt on this field in 10 years. You know what I mean? More than 10. 15? 15. Let's say 15. My boy better be in a polo shirt on this field in 15 years. And because of that, the expectations for Joe Brady he doesn't get any passes. He took this job knowing full well what it was. So expectation wise, that's what I would say. From my expectations of the team, I hope that they are better suited in game management situations. It was a big problem. I can point to a game management problem that might have cost them the game in the last game that Sean McDermott ever coached for the Bills. And it was a common theme amongst his years as head coach. Now, he was a good head coach still. It was brutal that was a flaw of his, because I think he would have had a Super Bowl if it wasn't. I hope that the game management gets better. Some people have a knack for it, some people don't, and I hope Joe Brady has a knack for it. But that's not something that you can test. You know what I mean? There's no practice for that. You're only the head coach when you're the head coach. And so these preseason games, I'm going to be watching him closely to see, like, is he making the right decisions? And it won't be a bomb from Carson Beck. Let's go. God, I love football. You can't there's no practicing to be a head coach. So these preseason games are going to be important. I hope they don't take it lackadaisically. I hope they take it as an opportunity for him to practice being on the sideline and making in-game decisions. It's what we don't know about him. I do hope that he pushes the gas pedal on the offense. He said it in his introductory press conference. His mindset is they have to come play us. They have to play NFL MVP Josh Allen, and we want to press them on that. And so we're dictating, not them. I'm all about that. Like, I want all gas. Give it to me. You have arguably the best player in the league leading your team. And I don't need to get into that argument. He's up there no matter who you are. And so just unleash him. Let him go. We should not be holding anything back. And I hope he has that aggressive mindset when it comes to the offense. So as far as the improvements go that I want to see from him, that's kind of my mindset. It'll be interesting to see what kind of cojones he has. Everybody says he's a real natural leader, that he just wants to be himself. And I think that is good, because you're going to come under fire. And hopefully he has that vibe of, I'm going to do what I think is right, and what I think is right is all gas. You know what I mean? So that's where my head is with him. But excited for the year. Excited to get it going. Okay, let's look at some big picture NFL things. I went through, and every year I put together a list of bets that I like, win totals that I like, that aren't necessarily like predictions. Instead, what they are are here are bets that I like for the value. And so what I'm doing is I'm deviating from the standard win total for NFL teams and trying to find positive bets that I can put $5 on, that by the end of it I'll have made some money. So for this year, what I've picked out so far as lines that I like. Tampa Bay, and this one has been shaky. I've been thinking about cashing it out. I don't like the Vita Vea thing for them. I love the Vita Vea thing for the Bills, but I don't like the Vita Vea thing for them. But they've said that they're not going to trade him. I love the Baker Mayfield thing for them because I think Baker Mayfield is going to be on a whirlwind this year. He's going to be a freaking cyclone trying to prove his worth, a bet on himself year. And I think I trust Baker Mayfield in a bet on himself year more than maybe anybody. So that's big for me. Oh, my boy is here. What's up, David? Appreciate you hopping in, saying what's up. I'm glad to see me back streaming too. Sterls going to join me here in a little bit. And I had told him that when he doesn't want to do one, we're going to get you in here for an episode or two. So don't think you're off the hook, but we just got back to streaming. So a phone call will be coming your way to hop in here at some point too. Carson Beck, by the way, just masterful drive down the field right now. Football is on my television. It's amazing. First down Cardinals. I love it. So I love Baker Mayfield on a bet on himself scenario. The over-under for Tampa Bay, I bet over 10.5 is plus 300. At least it was at the time that I bet it. So I threw $5 down on that. I really like that situation for Tampa Bay. I really do. The next one. And again, these are from, let's see, when did I put these bets in? July 14th. So it's a situation where the numbers might have changed if you go in and look at it. Next one, Giants, over 9.5 is plus 300. Here's my thoughts on the Giants. First of all, I think the NFC East is more wide open than anybody is willing to give it credit for. I think the Eagles are going to slip a little bit. I think they've let a lot of players go, especially on defense. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the be-all, end-all. I think he's just a good quarterback. And so I think Philly's going to slip a little bit. I hate to say it, but I like what Dallas has done. The Commanders have gotten older, but it's all about if Jaden Daniels can stay healthy or not. And then it brings us to the New York Giants. Kenny G jumping in. What's up, dog? Good to see you. Brings us to the Giants. And yes, I took the Giants over 9.5. You know what I mean? I know over 9.5 is a lot. I get it. But here's my thought process on it. Again, I'm not making predictions. I'm looking for value here. And over 9.5 plus 300 is a good value. Don't know if it's still there. I'd imagine it is. There hasn't been a lot of hype on the Giants. Scatterboo is a decent running back for all his antics. He's a decent running back. We'll see how he comes back from the injury. Dart looked okay last year. They were in one-score games all the time. The game here in Denver, he should have won that game. And if you go down the list on their team, they have a ton of talent on that team. They have a pass rush. I think their secondary is okay. There's talent there for them to work with. So to say that they win 10 games, I don't think it's crazy. Harbaugh comes in, he stabilizes the outfit, gives you just a good leader in there. I don't think he got enough credit for what he did in Baltimore year in and year out. I know last year was tough. I trust him. And so Kenny says, I'm a Giants fan, so I hope but I feel a 7-win season top. I mean, come on, man. There's talent on that roster. Neighbors is a great wide receiver. Like I just feel like there's enough there. And it happens every year in the NFC East. Somebody that you don't expect is better than you expect them to be. For me, I just wouldn't be surprised if it was the Giants. All right, I see my guy Sterls has jumped in here. Sterls, give me a thumbs up if you want to come on now or if you need a little bit of time. He wants to come in now. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit a commercial break here and make sure I can get all the bits and bobs working. And we'll pull Sterls in, and then in a couple minutes here we'll be back, and we'll keep talking about bets and the NFL and the Bills here in just a little bit. So we will be right back. All right, everybody, what's up? We're still working on, if we're gonna have technical issues. Of course, it's gonna be when I have a guest, because that's how I am. But let's see if I can get him in. Okay, well now it's not even showing. So much for all the work I did at the start here. You know what I mean? Spend all this time. Okay, give us a second. I'm going to work on these technical issues and then we will be right back. Okay, I think we've got it figured out. Let me try one more time. All right, I have both of us at least. It's not the right setting. It was funny, and Stills, you can see him. My boy, of course, here. What's up? Welcome. I
What's
will
up, man?
try to work on us being in this weird stacked formation when that's not how we want to be. Um, but I told him do you want to use StreamYard or do you want to use this new? Well, do you want to use your whatever software that we're using? And I'm like, well, you can do a lot more with it, but then you have to figure out how to do a lot more. And as you can see, we're
Yeah,
just having some issues, but that's all right.
you
That's
know,
good, man.
had you listened, we wouldn't have had this issue. Would have just been on StreamYard, and it's 2 clicks and it's done.
That's not true though, because then I can't stream without you. You know what I mean? Then we'd have to end.
Yes, you can.
No, then I'd have to end the stream and start a new one with you. This one you're just popping in on. You know what I mean?
Nah, you'll have all the access you need and more.
No, I know, but I can't. You can't do it like that.
You can.
Do you have the Hall of Fame game on right now? Does it feel amazing
Yeah,
with this football on your television, or do you not care?
no, it's I have a 55-inch screen, 60-inch screen right next to my podcast and stuff, and it's on, and it feels nice. It feels nice to see some football again. Carson Beck, man, I mean,
Yeah,
he's skinny.
drove them right down the field. Well, I mean,
He
what do you
he's a
expect? Do you think
skinny man.
you just think
I
he was gonna be a
mean,
big dude, or
no, but I just thought, maybe he looked a little like he put some NFL weight on or something. That frame is tiny. That's
he?
all I'm saying.
I mean, there's a reason he went back to college. You know what I mean? He was never.
Well, it
He
wasn't
was.
to eat and lift weights.
I'm just saying he
Yeah,
wasn't
I tell you
ever
that.
like a real NFL prospect. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, there was talk about him, but his last couple years in college, nobody was like, "Oh yeah, he's going to be a great NFL quarterback."
No, but I do. I mean, I saw the drive. I appreciate it. I mean, it obviously it's preseason, so we hold that with a grain of salt. But you can't fault the rookie for executing the offense and keeping it on schedule. You know,
Yeah, man. Taking what was there. I mean, that's exactly what you tell quarterbacks all the time, anyway.
yeah. I mean, this is a guy. He never had like high end physical traits. Like we know that. But what Carson Beck does bring to the field, as you see, is a more of a cerebral, and I don't mean this in a slight to him, but a more of a game manager kind of quarterback. And there's a space for that kind of skill set in the league today. So, um, I mean, shoot, hey, do your thing, big dog. I mean, if you can't have a Cavender, have a Cardinal, right?
Hey, listen, you can make a lot of money being a backup quarterback who can come in and take crossing routes and you know what I mean, be ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's true. I don't even it's been 2 years since I've donned a microphone. Long time, man. Long time. Feels nice though. I mean, I'm a little rusty, but we'll get back to it.
What do you mean you're rusty?
Rusty, dude.
We're just talking.
This is the most amount of words I've put out in months, just so you know. My word count for the day is like 100.
You said earlier, you're like, I had to think about if my equipment was good. And it's like, what do you mean if your equipment is good?
Oh,
you think
dude.
it atrophied? Like, what? What do
you seen Christmas Vacation where they put the turkey in the oven and then it just go. That's what I was freaking out about on my way home. Like, is my equipment just going to just explode when I fire it up for the first time? But no, man, it's hanging in there. It's doing its thing. I might make some improvements, some adjustments along the way. We'll see.
I mean, I wish I could make improvements or adjustments, but you see how this is going.
Hey, man, you're looking good with your X Games. What's that? The flag back
there? See, now you're just patronizing. You know what I mean? Like,
no patronizing here. I game recognized game. I see the next games back there. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You see my ugly what do you call them? Curtains? Yeah. Those
what happened? What happened to the whole set? I mean, you had a whole.
It's over. So I switched my office around.
Like the direction that you're facing?
Oh yeah, everything.
I'm sure people are enthralled by this, by the way, but
I wasn't podcasting anymore. So my space for gaming and computer is more enclosed versus it was a little bit more open, and I had these tiles in the back, which I can put back here, but I think something's gonna have to be done with these curtains. I mean, that looks like grandma's porridge.
It really
back there.
I wasn't gonna
dog.
I wasn't gonna bust
and you weren't gonna. Why not, bro?
Because I'm trying to get you to come back more than once, but
oh my god, you let me roll in here like that, and you didn't bust my balls.
No, I mean that's
the first thing you said.
No, that's like a week 2 thing. You know what I mean? You don't do that week 1.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm gonna have to black them things out or something.
All right, I can't figure out how to make the camera switch, so we're sorry to make you guys deal with this, but we're gonna make you guys deal with this. You know what I mean? So let's start off with just your thoughts on new head coach Joe Brady and your. I mean, we had mental health guy who was in here before, still in here now.
My favorite.
Yeah. We had a couple of people from past lives come through. David's here. Kenny G. Storcio came through for a little bit. So shout out to everybody. Appreciate you coming through to see what's going on. But
why can't I see the chat?
One sec. I'll get that. Just give me 1 sec. I'm setting you up with a question so you can talk and I can finish rebuilding this on the fly. So tell me your thoughts on the firing of McDermott. You can give a little synopsis of that era if you want, and then what you think this Joe Brady era is going to feel like.
Well, let's start with McDermott. First of all, I'll say, thank you for taking the Bills out of the mud, right, and putting them back where they need to be in a sense. They didn't win the big one. They had a lot of games where some gut crushing games that we could look at all the playoff appearances where they lost to Kansas City, the Bengals. I mean, last year against the freaking Broncos. I mean, I have to. McDermott will always have a special place in my heart. But if we're really being honest, he should have been fired after 13 seconds. He should have been gone. He should have been gone then.
I mean, thank you so much. I love you. And by the way, you should have been fired 4 years ago.
Yeah. Isn't that how an abusive relationship goes? But yeah, no, I think his time, I think after a while, man, the message gets stale in the locker room, and we're not in it, but I do have some sources that would allude to the message getting lost, players being very tight, if you will, and it kind of wears on you after a while. And I think when you have those crushing losses like to the Chiefs in 13 seconds and to the Broncos, and I mean the list goes on, right? You kind of just is like, what are we doing this for? And Josh Allen crying in the locker room after that game. And I just go, yeah, it's time. It's time. And I will say this, and I told you this before the start of last season. What did I tell you? I said, hey, I have one word that if they don't make a deep run in the playoffs, Bean, McDermott, they're both probably gone. Now it didn't play out entirely that way, but one of the two, it had to be McDermott, and it was true. I guess Terry was behind the scenes. I don't know this, but he had to be fed up with not getting over the hump.
Well, and he even said in his press, dude, Carson back with another touchdown pass. He even said in the press conference, like, I walked in that room and I knew something needed to change. That says a lot. It's not, he's not polished when it comes to media or anything like that, clearly. But the fact that your owner comes out and just outright says that is brutal, because and whether it was true that they needed to make that change so many years ago and didn't, like you're saying, I think some ex players, even Jerry Hughes, came out and said as much. But to just say that about your coach who had almost 100 wins, more than 100 wins, like that's a big statement to make,
And we've seen, Terry Pagula, I think when it comes to personnel or his personnel in terms of like head coaches, general managers, I do think he takes too long to come in and make a move, especially with this Bills team where, they've had a string of success, right? You look at the Sabres, some issues there. Kevin Adams stayed too long, in my opinion. We could talk about Sabres on another day, but I do think the Brady move, I didn't like it at first, I'll be honest. Coming off that Broncos loss, you just have a feeling of wanting something new, like a just clean slate, wipe it clean, get everybody out of there. But I understand, that's not always necessarily the best course of action to do. But he's kind of warmed up to me, or I've likened the idea a little more over time. We'll see how it goes. I do wonder what kind of head coach will he be in terms of discipline? What kind of head coach will he be under high pressure, high stress?
Yeah,
those kind of things are something that I'm concerned about. It'd be a difference like this. If you had Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback in his prime, we know Aaron Rodgers, albeit people think he's an asshole, but what he did command was a room. He commanded the room out of his players, the respect. He wasn't a good soldier. He's going to push back. And we know that's not Josh's leadership style. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I think when you have a rookie head coach, I think, somebody has to step up, in my opinion. So maybe that's Josh.
But
maybe that's the two of them. Pete
we
Carmichael,
we had this
John
conversation.
Fox.
We had this conversation when Diggs left, though, and
Yeah.
I remember distinctly having this conversation with you. Is we looked at each other and we're like, well, the one thing that you know now is this is Josh's offense, and can he handle that leadership, that pressure? And he responded with an MVP season. So maybe that's not a terrible thing to say to him, like, okay, it's not just the offense that's yours now, it's the team. This is your team. And I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. One thing that I was saying, and I don't know if you had popped in already when I said it, but there's no trial job for being a head coach. Like, you can't see how somebody's going to react if it's just head coach, right? And so when you're making all the decisions, when you've got to make the call, when you've got to do it quick, that game management stuff, we found out McDermott had a problem with it. We talked about it a lot. But there's no practice for that. There's no trial run for that. You get preseason games, but before you hire somebody, there's no way to find out if the guy's got it or not. So that's going to be the first thing that I look for too is how does he handle game scenarios? Does he think clearly in those situations? Does he make good decisions? And I had said, you can point to across his career decisions that McDermott made that weren't great game management decisions, but I can point to one in the very last game that he made too. And this is something that you and I have never talked about. So I'll be interested to hear your take on it. Everybody talks about the overtime or the last drive. You made a huge mistake when you're up by 1, kicking that field goal to go up by 4. If you go for the touchdown there and try to make it an 8-point lead, well, you're in a better situation then. Because here's why. If a field goal does them no good, what do you gift them? 4th down. They're going to go for it every single time. A field goal does them no good. And so, analytics guys call it the field goal of death. If it puts you up by more than 3 points, you're gifting them the desperation. You're gifting them the opportunity to go for it every 4th down. And so if you're doing that, what you're saying is, I trust my guy to be able to tie the game. If that happens, if they drive down and score a touchdown, I know I only need a field goal to tie it back up and send it into overtime. Okay, well, if you trust them that much, then all you have to do is go for the touchdown and try to go up by 8 rather than going up by 4. And if you trust your guy, if you don't get the touchdown, you're only up by 1, they drive down, they kick a field goal, you should have plenty of time to go the other direction and tie the game just like you did. But then if they kick a field goal and they're up by 2 and you drive back down, guess what? That kick is to win, not to tie it. And they would have won the game on a last-second field goal. And so
I do think there's
it's decisions like that.
Where you're going.
It's decisions like that. A field goal to put you up 4 does you almost no good, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't argue the validity of your statement. However, I will fight back and say this. Given the context of the situation, that defense was just trash. I mean, all season, in high pressure moments, the defense rarely stepped up. And you want to talk about that drive. How about we talk about the substitutions, the personnel management, where you put Dane Jackson on one of the fastest receivers in the league by himself.
Sure. And it was
Cam Lewis goes down.
It was the first thing they saw.
What do you do?
The first thing Sean
and
Payton
went right
did.
After it. Right after it.
He was in there for one play, and Sean Payton scored a touchdown on him.
when what's the safety? Darnell. What's that dude's name? The safety that came
Savage?
in. Darnell Savage. They scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, and like wasn't Sam Franklin in a play too? Like one play?
Yes, they scored 2 touchdowns, one on Darnell Savage, one on Dane Jackson right when they got in the game. They won off of your lack of knowing your personnel. The fact that you would even trot Dane Jackson out there.
But you didn't have any other choice, man. Like you didn't have any other option.
You put you manned him up with no safety help over top.
The call was the problem. Wild,
I mean, I'm just like,
you play cover 4 there for the one play.
How stupid?
Yeah.
This is just those are the things in the McDermott era that just kill me.
Yeah.
That just kill me. Yeah. Inexcusable.
But here's the thing it makes me angry when people blame Josh for that game. Did he have a terrible game? Yes. Did they have the lead with 2 minutes left to go? Yeah, they did. You know what I mean? Like, he brought them all the way back. So talk about the fumble before the half if you want. Sure. Cost them 3 points. Threw interceptions. He did not have a good game. And they were still a bad coaching call away from winning it. You know what I mean? That
tells you how good Josh Allen is.
Right? I say to Bronco fans, if he played a clean game, do we beat you by 30? You know what I mean? Like, what are you really saying?
James Cook fumbling, getting hit by Alex Singleton. Like, I mean, listen,
But here's the thing. Hold on, I want to stop you because I want to roll you back just for a second.
All right, go ahead.
Josh's entire career, we have begged for them to get the stop. We don't need the defense to be great. We don't need it to be top 5. There was a time when it was in your Hyde and Poyer and Trey White and Milano or all pro days. There was a time where it was a top 5 and still a top 5 defense. There was a time where they were that good. But that's not what we've been begging for. What we've been begging for is for them to get the stop that you need to win those games. And guess what? You got it in the Bronco game. The first possession of overtime, you got it. You got the stop. You have to go win the game there. You have to go win the game there. They got you the stop. Whatever you want to say about the defense, as pissed off as I could be at them, they got the stop that you needed.
Okay, now, but see, you're missing context because yes, they got the stop. I'm gonna tell you how. The offense. Listen, man.
0-0.
When you're relying on Brandon Cooks, a beat up Dalton Kincaid against the best defense or top 2 defense in the league. I'm sorry, but this is the NFL. Those guys get paid too. It's not that easy. Who is he going to throw the ball to? Like, guess what? Hold on. Before you go there,
didn't have to take the shot. He did.
When the Bills need to play, what they do? What they always do on offense last year? Screen or mesh. That's all they had in their bag, and that was a person because the receivers couldn't get open. So
then why is your play a shot down the field?
Because guess what? And it goes back to this. When you have Josh Allen fighting for his ever-loving life all season long, you get bad habits and you make bad decisions because you're trying too much. They should have just called it.
They were walking up and down the field. And that is a terrific Denver defense. They were walking up and down.
Yeah.
Walking up and down the field.
You can only disguise mesh so many times, bro.
I know, but you don't have to throw the bomb there. But if you give Josh Allen that option, I mean, right? Like that's a little bit on Brady.
Because if you fault Josh on that, the week before it worked.
I'm not. The
week before it worked. Talk about that. Brandon Cooks, Jacksonville.
It worked that week too. It was there. He was open. It was one-on-one coverage. Like that's open in the NFL. The way that Cooks got about Dawson Knox. That was open in the NFL.
Dawson Knox he walks in. He could have done 3 cartwheels and got into the end zone. That's how open he was. Josh missed the throw.
Yeah.
You got to make those throws. You got to make those throws.
I just think Joe Brady don't call that play there. Because if you tempt Josh with that shot downfield, what's he gonna do? He's gonna take it.
That's a great call out. I'm gonna give you props on that, Rob. You're a thinking man right there.
So
you're right.
And that's why I wanted to say all this, because I think it circles all the way back to when you're the head coach in that situation. Is that what we're expecting from the Bills over the next couple of years here? Is that he's just calling shots? Like, let's go.
Listen,
gas.
What Josh say this week? If you knock on the door long enough, somebody's going to open it.
That's not always true. I wish that was true.
I'm not saying it is. I'm telling you that's how he's thinking. And that's why they go get a guy like DJ Moore.
Hey, I love it.
They're gassing up Joshua Palmer to do something this year. I have my doubts. We'll see. So what they're saying is, okay, we're going to give you a little bit more to work with, and hopefully Dalton Kincaid can summon some good luck in terms of health and be another weapon to the offense.
Yeah,
so
let's talk about that here in a second. I just want to get to Kenny G's comment before we do, but we should definitely we can talk offense first here. He said the other thing that killed them, just like most teams going into a prevent defense, it prevents the deep ball. It leaves everything else wide open. I think you got to keep playing D. I 100% agree with you. I think that's something that is why people are so excited about Jim Leonard. He's known to be very aggressive. It's a Rex Ryan type, Buddy Ryan type aggressive defense, and he's not just going to sit back and prevent. So I feel like that's what people are so excited about, is exactly what you're saying when it comes to Buffalo fans. But let's talk about the offense first. Thoughts on Kincaid not getting surgery on his knee?
I'm no doctor.
Yeah, me neither.
But just fucking do it. Get it done. Take the time you need. Had he done it right when the season ended, he'd be ready to go right now. Or really close to it.
And I understand people when they say, like, it takes 2 full years to get back. We had that conversation a lot with Von Miller. You know, it wasn't an ACL for Kincaid, but that, you know, you just don't feel right on that knee for a whole year afterwards, even if you're playing.
That's fair.
But I'm in your camp still. Do it. You know what I mean? I just think it's going to be something that
Today's medicine, you see Alex Hoyt coming back from a Achilles tear. Stephon Diggs came back. Oh, Michael Hoyt. Sorry. Yeah. I had a friend named Alex Hoyt. But Stephon Diggs came back 9 months after ACL tear and played well.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's body's different. So what looks right for Michael Hoyt may not work for Dalton Kincaid. But what I'll tell you is this. I'm tired of the excuses. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like, he's been dealing with this PCL for how many years? 2 years? Like, come on, man. It's irresponsible. Now, I know he's got a family to think about or you know, contract and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, man, he's got this year. And if this, I don't want to get to week 12. This is a random week. I don't want to get to week 12 and we're still talking about his damn knee.
Right.
PCL,
but we are the whole season, because
exactly
you're going to feel like you're one play away the whole time.
Yep, and you see the difference when he's in the game. You know, like he's a threat. He's a weapon. You look at the metrics when he's on and not on the field. I mean, the offense averages 5 or 6 more points a game.
Well,
you know,
but part of the problem is, and this is something that I've heard a lot of the podcasters talking about recently, and I think even GR was talking about it. The usage rate for the tight ends is too predictable. And it's why Dawson Knox has been your tight end, because you can either run or pass when he's on the field. But because Kincaid was banged up, you only had him out there for pass plays. And because Spencer Hawes is who Spencer Hawes is, you only had him out there for run plays. So you're subbing guys onto the field, and the defense knows exactly what to look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a problem, but I do think also that that's due to a lack of personnel. That's due to
See,
um they knew they knew his PCL was a problem going into the season, and they did nothing about it the season before. And so now they don't want him blocking because you're locked up with a guy. What's going to happen? You're 13 personnel. You're on the outside, right, trying to seal an edge, and what happens? That knee just gives out, or somebody rolls it, and then he's
or you
done.
get whipped. Yeah.
Or you get whipped. But so you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that's, to me, I mean, it's his body. I guess they did say he put on like 15 pounds of muscle or something in the off season. But like, how would
Does that make you
he,
feel better? It
how
doesn't make me feel better.
I mean, it makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, if he's putting on good weight where he can withstand uh some more, wear and tear on his body. Now, we do have to remember though, Dalton Kincaid was a basketball player. So he has a basketball body. Trying to play a grown man's game of football, it's going to take time for that to kind of to get acclimated, right?
Stop it.
Bro, it's true.
How many years? Is it 3 or 4 now? Get out of
4.
here. This is your 4th year. No more. No more. I listen. I would have listened to that year 1. I would have listened to it year 2 and been angry about it. There's no way I'm listening to that in year 4.
Well, it's ringing true. Either he's a glass man.
I don't think he's a glass man. I think he's got a problem that has been a problem this entire time. He hasn't had any other problems. This is the problem, and he needs to get it fixed, and he didn't. So I don't know.
Oh man, well was his PCL hurting him when he dropped that pass in Kansas City?
You don't think? Okay, so everybody takes the snapshot of the ball going through his arms, right, and says he should have caught it.
He should have.
Okay, fine. Josh flung that ball up in the air, and he had to hard stop and come back to get that ball. Now, Josh did it out of desperation. There was no Kansas City player there. That was the right read. It's the guy he should have thrown to, but it wasn't him running a straight route and diving and dropping the ball. He had to hold on, just let me finish. He had to stop and come back to where the ball was, and he was able to get close enough that he dives for it, and then that's how you get the picture. So do you want to tell me that a hurt knee didn't slow him down? That if he could have stopped harder, pushed off harder, that he might not have caught that football because he didn't have to dive, because he made it back there quicker? Because I think that would have been the case.
Well, Rob, after 2 years of not podcasting with you, you've grown soft.
What? I think that would have been the case. Listen, I think if he had a healthy knee,
that's bullshit.
He gets back there without having to dive. Okay, fine.
Catch the ball, bro.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
The ball.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying
if you were Dalton Kincaid,
the injury affected him because he didn't get. He could have caught it standing up.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. It's like, and I partly kid, right? Like, I have, I'm like, okay, dude. Like, I get it. In the big moment, you didn't come through. But at the same time, I've seen you make way more difficult catches than that. You gotta catch that. You gotta execute. Josh, you gotta recognize that blitz sooner.
That's
on Josh.
I mean, it caught him totally off guard. And he's talked about that a couple of times, how much he got caught off guard with that one.
Josh Allen, and he's come out and said this offseason. He said, I have to be more of an anticipatory passer. Josh likes to see it and rip it. He plays that gunslinger football, and he's got to balance that with sometimes you got to throw in anticipation, and you have to recognize the blitz sooner. Now, Spags threw something at him that he didn't show it all season, and it was one of those like the only one time. And Josh, so I understand it.
But on 4th down in the 4th quarter, down when you're down, don't you have to expect the unexpected? Like,
right?
Shouldn't you be saying to yourself, he's gonna throw something at me that I've never seen before?
Right. So I don't know, man. I hate discussing this stuff because we're
Yeah,
always like one play away. It feels,
it's gotten
a,
ugly
a,
here.
a couple play, and it's just like it's so demoralizing. It really is. So going back to the
Is
original
this why you
point,
quit? Is this why you took last year off? Is that
you know what? You learn in therapy. Oh man, the
hey, well?
reflection
So
decisions you should have made sooner.
let's turn it back because I do want to talk about the whole offense. We started talking about
Okay.
Dalton Kincaid and kind of got off on a diatribe, but I mean, let's talk DJ Moore. It seems like the reporters that I hear talk about him are
Mhm.
like shocked at how good he is, that he's dominating out there on the field. And I'm just like, why is that a surprise to you? The man is a
And
consistent
why?
1,000-yard wide receiver. He had
Well,
one down year with a coach that he didn't get along with. Like, what? Of course he's dominating.
okay, you went to school, so it's like the hot transfer kid coming to school. Like she's just a dime. Like, and you have all these other, like just everybody's kind of mid or just, but then you get this one person, new person in school, and you're like, golly. And that's what it's like. It's been a wasteland at receiver for the Bills since Diggs left. They haven't had the production, they haven't had the star power. So someone comes in there that's a smooth route runner, veteran. He's kind of has
Physical.
a bigger frame. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a physical catch point receiver, can do a little bit of everything well, right? And of course they're going to be like lolly, oh my god, look at this guy, right? I mean, you're going to get that, right? That's what that is. I'm not saying he's not a I think he's a good receiver.
I just
I,
feel like
I,
you
I
should have known it. It's not like we didn't watch him
you
in.
should have known it.
It's not like we didn't watch him in Carolina. It's not like we didn't watch him his first couple of years in Chicago. Like, come on.
The postseason in Chicago last season. I mean, that touchdown against Green Bay.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
crazy.
what a grab, what a route. Yeah. So I like DJ Moore in this offense. I do think that he's going to be better than what people expect. I do see him being like an 1,100-yard receiver this year, maybe 8 or 9 touchdowns, and probably, I don't know, 85 to 90 catches is what I see him doing. I think that'd be perfect for us to get that production out of him.
Well, and I think the question isn't what do you think his numbers are, because I don't think they're going to be as eye popping as you might hope. I think the question is, what does he do for the other guys? How
Well,
much more do you get out of Shakir because he's not taking on the best guy? Can you get Josh Palmer as a third option to be adequate to be a good NFL wide receiver, which I think you can? Can you get something from Kincaid and Knox and Cook? And all of that ups just a little bit because you have this guy who is taking on the toughest assignment and still winning.
he raises the floor and the ceiling of your offense because everybody outside of Khalil Shakir last season played out of position.
Right?
And I would even say Khalil Shakir played out of position because I mean his average depth of target was like 2 or 3 yards, which is criminal.
Yeah.
So what he does, he is the stabilizing foundation to your receiving core. And now it gives guys like, if Joshua Palmer is healthy, he gets to do what he needs to do. Keon Coleman can fit where he needs to fit, and not being a wide receiver number 2 or number 1 at times, right? But he could just just be a wide receiver 2 or 4 or however you want. Khalil Shakir can run real wide receiver routes now, and that's what you need. So if you go get Brandon Cooks off the street, now you got a deep threat, and now you have a complete wide receiver stable that you can work with.
So before you hopped on, I said 2 things that I think you're kind of reiterating here. Like Cooks, if I bring him in on a veteran deal, same way I brought in Poyer and Gabe last year and let him be on the practice squad and make that his training camp. And by the time the playoffs comes around, if I have an injury, I've got a guy. Perfect. I want that wide receiver depth, right? And same thing with Keon Coleman. There was an article that ESPN wrote that was like, hey, would trades that could still be made in training camp, and it was Coleman to the Colts for a 4th. And it's just like, how does that help you win the Super Bowl right now? Like Coleman is a spot where he's your 4th wide receiver. Don't you want a young guy who's shown some flashes there in that spot to maybe develop and see if he can do more than he's shown so far, like I want Coleman on this team. We've gotten over the statement part of it. Like the owner said something
Yeah.
stupid, shocking.
Yeah.
But I think Joe Brady mended that fence. And so, like, you're telling me that I don't want a young, athletic wide receiver as depth, so I'm not throwing to Trent Sherfield in a playoff game against Kansas City? You know what I mean? Like, yes, please.
Right. Right. Yeah. I like, and I didn't even mention Dalton Kincaid and Knox in that fold, right? And then we're just talking about the receivers. So I think you have a full deck of cards to play with, and I think Josh
Well,
Allen's going to explode this year.
so I went on a little diatribe about, like, I don't understand how people say that the roster is so bad. It's, you heard a lot of, oh, it's Josh and nobody else. And I kind of went through the timeline of, well, when Bean first got here, the problems were offensive line and quarterback. You got a top 5 offensive line now. You've got a quarterback. Then in that little middle period when you had when Josh first started getting good, oh, he needs a true number 1 wide receiver. He went and got one. Then it was, well, what if Josh Allen had a running game? You know what I mean? Imagine he didn't have to do it all himself. Well, great. You had the NFL's leading rusher last year. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's one of those things where I don't think the cupboard's empty. I think there's a lot of weapons. And yes, Josh scores every year. But I think this offense has a lot of talent on it, man. And I think they can dominate this year. I really do. It just, the unknowns are if the head coach being the play caller is going to be able to handle both duties,
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the better rosters they've had. Now they don't have a lot of blue chip talent, and I do think they're waiting on these young guys to kind of develop. So
Well, but here's the
we're
thing.
going to see.
So they don't have blue chip talent from other people, but is James Cook blue chip talent?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is Deion
He's
Dawkins
fringe.
blue chip talent?
Not anymore.
No. That's interesting. We'll go back to that. Is Spencer Brown blue chip talent?
I wouldn't say so.
Is Connor McGovern
His
blue
pass
chip
pro
talent?
suffered. No.
You don't think McGovern is?
Mm-mm.
That's interesting.
Mm-mm.
Is DJ Moore blue chip talent?
No.
Okay. So you're saying the only blue chip on there is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I pulled up this article, and let me see if I can get it on here now. Bill Barnwell wrote an article that went through every team in the league and asked what, or how many, I guess I should say, Hall of Famers are there on this roster? What do you think he put? And he ranked them, right?
I hope he just put one.
It was definite Hall of Famer, and then it was like could be Hall of Famers. Then it was like still work to do, but like in the conversation, like your career could end as a Hall of Famer. How many do you think?
Josh Allen's the only one on there.
Is that what you think?
That's what I know. Hall of Fame.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, Hall of Fame, bro. That's no like. That's a big deal. Like that's not like.
Can you see it? Can you see it?
I can't see it.
You can't see it?
No, I can't see it.
Well, are you watching our stream somewhere? Here, let me see. I think I can share it with you. So hold on. Let me get
see the chat.
Let me get fancy here. Okay, can you see it now?
I see refuse to connect. ESPN.com refuse to connect. So
pull up our Twitch or something like that.
All right, hold on. Well, I don't even know. Okay, hold up. Let me go to Twitch.
I was gonna say it should be on your Twitter because I tagged you saying that we were going on, so you can just click the link right there.
Oh, okay. All right.
So Of course, Josh Allen's on the list, and he has Josh Allen as in, it says. His other levels are on the cusp, work to do, keep it up, and missing out. Looks like those are the five
So
types.
Deion Dawkins, James Cook, or keep it up.
Deion Dawkins not on the list.
Okay.
James Cook
It's got me
is on the list.
as what?
Did you pop in yet? You didn't pop in. I'll just read it to you. That's fine.
It's going through commercials, man.
He's on there as work to do.
Okay, now I can see it.
So it says Cook is still only 26, has 3 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances under his belt. He's 5th in rushing yards over that span, although he also leads all backs in fumbles over that stretch with 10. Cook has best in the league potential if he protects the football and steals a few touchdowns away from Allen, but he'll need to have a couple seasons at that level to have a shot at the Hall.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
Okay. You see who the other one is on that list?
Spencer Brown.
Yeah. What you think?
Nah, I mean, nah. I love Spencer Brown. I do think his pass pro left something to be desired last year.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about the Houston game. Like, I think he was struggling with injuries or something, but him and Deion got fat on the hog last year, believing the hype. And I just think the attention to detail wasn't there, in my opinion. Now, Spencer Brown in the run game, phenomenal. But in the pass game, struggle.
They gave up more sacks last year than they had in the past, like 3 or 4. So yeah. I hear you. Listen, so it was interesting. We had talked about Dawkins a couple of years ago, and I had told you I was unsure, and you thought I was maybe being a little bit too harsh. And so, and now I think we're flipped a little bit. So I don't think your assessment of his year last year is wrong, but before I tell you my thoughts, I want to know what you think going into this year. Do you think he's a declining player, or do you think he fell asleep a little bit for 1 year? And I mean, we've all heard the stories about how he's back in at a lower weight and working hard and more spry than he's been in a long time. So what are your thoughts on him this year?
I mean, listen, for him to say he lost, 40, 45 pounds, okay, that's great. Great on you, but you have to play an NFL game at that weight that you're playing at. He said this is the lightest he's been since his first year in the league or something like that. I don't think he's a declining player, but I do think, I mean, I hate to say it, but he was doing a lot of things off the field for his career, like sponsors deals and just being out doing the thing, right? And I do think, your body changes, the game changes, and it kind of left him by last year where he just wasn't in the greatest shape that he should have been in. I don't know why. I mean, only he can answer that. So I do think, maybe the mindset, you could tell Deion's locked and loaded. He really wants to prove to the fans, to himself, to the team that he's taking this year serious. So I'm going to hold off and say, you got to show it to us this year.
But it doesn't sound like doesn't sound like you have much hope for it.
It's not that I don't have hope. It's just I got to see it. With this Bills team, I'm tired of living with hope. I got to see it now. I got to see it.
You realize only one team at the end of the year gets to.
Don't care.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm not saying the season is unsuccessful by any means, but it's like Groundhog Day. We go through the motions of the off season. We talk about it, and it's the same damn storylines to an extent, but the names are different. And I'm just like, can you please at least beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl? That's it. And let's see what happens. But I'm sick and tired of these. We analyze these losses, and I'm just like, my heart can't do it, bro. I can't do it no more.
Mental health guy says I'm with Sterls on this one. Josh is the only one who is a Hall of Famer in my opinion. It's just interesting. I just think it's more a PR thing than anything about if this roster is good or not. Like, I feel like it's the national media thing. It's so easy for them to say, like, oh, it's Josh and nobody else, because then they don't have to learn anybody else and make a case for why they're good.
No. No, I don't think it's that shallow. If they had other Hall of Fame worthy players, they'd be listed. The Bills don't have another blue chipper that's worthy of being on that list.
Well, listen, so we've talked about that for a long time. As far as like establish somebody else to be on that list that's just like in or keep it going, no, I agree with you. They don't have anybody else of that level. And for a long time, we've said they need another blue chip talent. They don't fall off trees, And so this is where I understand the frustration with Bean. You got to make one of those moves.
You got to.
Whether it's Micah Parsons or Vita Vea or
bro.
I mean,
how many
one of these blue chip guys? You have to pull the trigger on it.
How many times have I texted you and be like, "Hey, I just heard that they're in on such and such," before it hits the media?
Yeah,
and it just never happens.
Yeah. Well, because they are in on them. They are in on them.
Yeah,
they pull the trigger, man.
Dude, like, and I don't know and I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if Vita Vea is actually on the trade block.
The word I've heard is that he thinks he's on the trade block, and Tampa absolutely does not. So that's what I mean.
Everybody can be had for a price. This is if you're looking for the perfect move, this is it.
So we'll get there. Don't go into it yet. Let's stick with the offense. We'll talk about Vita Vea in a minute. But to your point, yes, this team is devoid of blue chip talent, and I think you have guys that have potential to be that. James Cook, I think, is one of them. I'm surprised you're as far down on Spencer Brown as you are. I think
I'm not down on Spencer Brown. He's just not a Hall of Fame level player.
Okay.
I'm not down on him. I think he's a very good and he's a top 10 right tackle in the league.
I agree with Bill Barnwell. Top 10 means if you take another step, you're in Hall of Fame territory. You know what I mean? That's why he's in the work to do category. And I
guess
think that's the spot for him.
And my net worth is low, but if I get $1 billion, I'm a billionaire, right? Like, so come on, man.
And which do you think is more likely, you becoming a billionaire or Spencer Brown being a Hall of Fame tackle?
Neither. About the same odds, actually. About the same odds.
So you're down on him compared to me.
No, I'm not down. I see it clearly.
I think it's much more likely that Spencer Brown is a Hall of Fame
tackle,
tackle
and then you might have an argument. Right. You might have an argument.
I got you. But I'm saying his career could end up that way. Okay. As far as the offense goes, is there any concerns that you have that you want to talk about before we switch over to defense?
No, let's go defense.
Okay. I want to take a break before we do. I want to run and grab a drink. And I want to run a couple minutes of ads so people don't have to wait through pre-roll when they come in, like you had to when you logged in there. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about defense. We'll have some chatter about Vita Vea in there, blue chips in general. Sterls hanging with us from the Best Western, the La Quinta Inn, or his grandmother's house. We're not sure.
Oh, man. Yo, you ain't right, bro.
Is it?
That's a savage move.
Which one's more insulting? La Quinta, Best Western, or your grandma's house?
While we're on break, I'm buying curtains. I'm pulling up Amazon right now.
You look like you just set up in somebody's grandma's
I,
Airbnb. You know what I mean? So
golly,
this
that's
is your
brutal.
that's your house. You own that.
It's brutal.
Okay.
Yes.
Live from the Best Western. We'll be right back right after this. All right, we back. Do you have my sound on somewhere? I'm hearing myself. Do you?
Who,
You
me?
gotta. Yeah, you gotta mute me. I can't hear. I can't be hearing myself when I'm talking. Um, we're back. I'm live from my house. Sterls live from a Motel 6 in Wichita.
Oh wow, this is brutal.
is is live from a McDonald's from 1990. Sterling hanging out with us. Uh,
Ordered, ordered.
what you doing right now, Sterls? Why don't
I
you
just
tell the
or
people? Why don't you tell the people what you're doing?
I just ordered some blackout curtains so I can get rid of this. And the next time you see me next week, it'll look different.
Okay, all right. Well, until then, he's live from the DMV. Um,
Oh, brutal. Just brutal.
I mean, I told you I wasn't going to say anything. You brought it up, so
Well, I mean, it was the elephant in the room, wasn't it?
no, it was the curtains in the room, actually.
That too. That too.
All right.
I know.
I want to talk Bills defense here, and I feel like we're going to spend more time on it than I planned to. So maybe we don't get to overall NFL talk. And if we don't, you'll have to come back and hear us talk about it later. But let's start with this Bills defense. There is a lot of excitement around Jim Leonard. I think it's warranted. I'm excited as well. I think the thing that people haven't really talked about is how much better the fact that the personnel on this team might fit better in Jim Leonard's defense than it did in Sean McDermott's defense, which is kind of crazy. But but I think that there's an argument to be made for that. There is one big piece that they're missing. It'll be interesting to see how they go about filling that spot. But I do think there's one important question to ask about this defense, to talk about how good it really is. And I don't think anybody's doing it. So I will sit on that as Sterls. You give us your thoughts on this defense, and we'll see if you have the same one important question that I do, because I think there's just one thing that'll decide how good this defense is.
I mean, I feel like you're setting me up, and two,
No.
you're sitting on information. That's cool.
I am.
Like if that's how you want to treat our fans, you go right ahead. It's
I mean, they'll hear it. It's called a tease. It's effective
know
radio.
what?
That's what you do.
the world is hard enough out there. You don't need to make people wait for information that you already know.
I'll get there.
But hey,
get there. We're here to have you analyze, Sterls. Tell us what's going on.
It's been 2 years. I know nothing. However, I'm excited about a new direction on defense. I think with Sean McDermott's defense, you needed almost this perfect build archetype for different positions on the defense. Like, your defensive ends needed to be these do-all kind of, Swiss Army knife defensive ends, right? I think you live in a world where I think players are more specialized to do a couple really good things, to be really good or elite at something, right? Ed Oliver, for instance, is a smaller defensive end. He's a pursuit style, gap busting, defensive end, where him going up and trying to, split a guard and a tackle or guard and a center in the A gap isn't always going to suit him best, right? I think that's why the secondary always played well, because they had guys that kind of fit the mold. I think that's why we struggled a lot on the defensive line, because we didn't have, based off that defense, we didn't have the personnel to really do it. The linebackers in that scheme, they had to think too much. The defense was built from the back end, right? I think Jim Leonard's defense is built from the trenches out. And I think it's going to allow players to play faster. I don't think you have to have, these etched out body types to play defensive end, to play outside linebacker, or to Caleb Elamzor is a perfect example for what it looks like at inside linebacker. He's like 230 pounds, 6'2", 3", but he's a tank, so I think you give this, the defense has a little bit more ability to breathe, in my opinion. They're going to play fast, they're going to play free, whereas they weren't able to do that when Sean McDermott's defense, because they had to think a lot.
Well, you say that, but this defense isn't built from the trenches out. I mean, what's the one thing in this defense that they're absolutely missing?
Hold on. No, I know the defense. His defenses are typically built from the trenches. I think it'll take him 2 or 3 years to get there. It's not there now, but he has some personnel to work with. He has players that fit a little bit better in a 3-4 style defense than he did in this 4-3, nickel defense that Sean McDermott employed, or 4-2-5 defense that Sean McDermott employed for so many years. So you look at guys like Landon Jackson, and
that's not the example I'd go with. Go ahead, tell me.
Well, but he was one of those guys that put some weight on, playing in a similar style defense at Arkansas. TJ Sanders, another guy that played in a 3-4 front in college.
Yeah.
So those are, and then you look at Maxwell Harrison is one that, even though, you may look at him and go, wow, like he's not a press man corner, but he has man capabilities. He's more of a zone corner. He's going to have to be better in man situations, man press. Can he do it? We don't know. I think Cole Bishop is a great switch over to this defense and his style. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to help a lot in that regard. So Bradley Chubb, Greg Rousseau. I'm curious to see how Greg Rousseau fits in. It's the same style of defense he played in college. So you're getting guys in here. Michael Hoyt, another one that played in the 3-4 with the Rams. So you have more scheme fits than you actually, or than I even realized coming into this. But it's about playing together as one unit. Can they do it? I like to see it.
Yeah,
But I like Jim Leonard as a defensive coordinator a lot, actually.
I
It's
think
going to be fresh.
I think it's crazy how much better some of these guys fit into this defense than they did into the Sean McDermott defense. To your point, TJ Sanders, Terrell Bernard, Joe Andreessen.
Another 3-4 defense at Baylor.
At Baylor, yep. Those guys, Andreessen and Bernard, I think fit much better in this defense than they did in McDermott's defense.
Yep.
Elam Zor, they knew they were making the switch, so that's not quite the same thing. But
For sure.
But guys like Ed Oliver and Walker, I think now I would like them both to play defensive tackle, not nose tackle. But you're probably going to have to play Deion Walker.
Dwayne Carter's doing that this year is what we've been told.
We'll see.
And I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And I think that goes to kind of the worst kept secret in the room, that the one position that you're missing is Vita Vea. Right? It's a 2-gap nose tackle that can still get a little bit of pass rush. And when you're talking about blue chip talent, like, put his name on the board, right? And so there's been a lot of guys who have been blue chip talent who you've apparently swung and missed on. But I mean, there's no better fit, bigger need in terms of, I guess you could say, Micah Parsons, because they needed pass rush and they didn't have it. But in terms of fit and need, like, I just don't think there's been, maybe since Diggs, I don't think there's been somebody who's reportedly out there available that fits those two things as much as Vita Vea.
Yeah, man. I mean, Vita Vea, I think what he would give you in that freaking room is a lot, dude. I mean, the fact that he can 2-gap, he's a defensive tackle who can pass rush and is excellent against the run. Excellent. I think in the 2025 season, PFF gave him a 72.8 grade, which is really good. I mean, it ranked 20th, but he played above that, He had 51 total pressures, bro. 51. And a 77% pass rush grade.
He's an animal.
I think that's pretty damn good.
He's an animal.
He's him. He's an animal.
He's
4.5
an animal. And
sacks.
if you put him next to Ed Oliver,
39
Deion
hurries.
Walker, I mean, come on, man. Come on. That is a monster defensive line. I think Bradley Chubb still has it. You got Michael Hoyt or Rousseau on the other side. I mean, that would be just, the front seven would be so good.
Yeah. So that was just his pass rushing metrics. Now in terms of stopping the run, 21 defensive stops. Just think if you added 21 more defensive stops to the Bills' defensive room last year, you know how much better the defense would have played? 34 total tackles and stopping the run. 16 solo, 7 for loss.
7 for loss would be, I mean,
dude, like, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yep.
That's huge. So, but
from
again,
a guy who, like, you would accept none of those stats from if he could control both gaps. You know what I mean? Like, the pass rushing stats you read off, the tackles for losses, like, you would be okay with him not doing any of that if he controlled the center and the 2A gaps and just ate bodies in the middle of that defense. You'd be still very happy with him. Like, that goes to show how incredible he is. But I don't think it's likely. I know. It is the thing that the Bills defense needs.
But think about the stunts they could run with Ed and Deion Walker. I mean, there's so much variation that
Guys
you
like
could do.
guys like Dorian William then blitzing.
Oh
You
man,
know what I mean?
yeah. I
Like
mean, Terrell Bernard,
Bernard blitzing. Yeah,
that's what he's really good at.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I just think that it's one of those things. This is one you can you get it done being like, let's forget the past. Let's forget, the times
People
where
are
you
saying
didn't get it
it's
done.
people are saying it's not even going to cost a first round pick. Like that's, I mean, oof.
What's the holdup?
And right, that is what I'm saying. And then there's a thing where like he probably wants to play on a team in California, so he might come here and not sign. Okay, let's go win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like,
How does $26 million a year sound?
yeah, I mean, I think you can
You wouldn't
change
mind
his,
Nicole then?
I was gonna say, I think you could change his mind with $26 million and a Lombardi Trophy. So,
Yeah,
I mean, even if it's a 1 year rental, I'm still calling and I'm still giving up
yeah, bro.
significant assets to make that happen, even if it's only for 1 year. You know,
We shouldn't even talk about it because it's not going to happen.
I know. All right, so I think very obviously the deficiency of this defense is on the defensive line. You have said your piece about Dwayne Carter by not saying anything at all.
I just don't know what he is. I don't know
Uh,
what he is. I don't know.
I
And
think he's got a better chance to be the guy that I just described, the two gap nose tackle that doesn't do anything but does handle the center and handle the two gaps. I think he's got a better chance to be that than he had a chance to be anything. He's not Ed Oliver, you know what I mean? He's not a penetrating defensive tackle. So if you want to ask me what's his best chance to be successful in the NFL, it might be this, right?
it might be, but I mean, you throw on 30 pounds in an off season. Like, is that good weight? Don't know.
I mean, you were
Have you?
ballyhooing Dalton Kincaid's 15, so
I'm just saying, man. It's that, but we're not asking Dalton Kincaid to play in the trenches. Being in the trenches is a different ball game, right? It's a
yeah,
different ball game. You know that.
I hear you, but it's again, if I think he can do anything, can he stand up a center and control him and control two gaps? And even if that weight is dead weight, it still helps with that. Now, those NFL centers are still going to be able to move it, but dead weight still helps with that. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's clearly one of the things. I don't want to see him on the field. I don't think that's your optimal lineup. You think that's your optimal
Yeah,
lineup?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I want to see it play out. So I'm gonna give Jim Leonard the benefit of the doubt. If that's who he thinks his best personnel is, that's who he wants to start. I mean, shit, give him a chance, an opportunity at 330 pounds that he says he is, or what the Bills, what they say he is, and see how he handles it. We're gonna
Well,
find out in training camp though, but we haven't heard anything about him
no,
thus
we
far.
have. Here you go. You ready? So Nick
Yeah.
Sabato of hold on, let me make sure I get it right. The Niagara Gazette and Lockport Union Sun Journal, and the co-host of the Buffalo Press Box. He's the sports editor and reporter, was out at camp today, and he tweeted out who the starting 11 was on the first run. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Nose tackle, Deion Walker. And I think that's what you're going to get. I don't think it's going to be Dwayne Carter. Your defensive tackles or defensive ends, depending on how you want to say it, Ed Oliver and Sanders. Your outside linebackers, Chubb and Rousseau. Your inside linebackers, Bernard and Williams, which is interesting. Your cornerbacks, Benford and Hairston, and your safeties, Bishop and Gardner Johnson.
I like it.
I like it too. My only problem with it is I would rather Walker be at defensive end or defensive tackle, depending on what you call it.
Right.
I'd rather him not on the nose. But I don't think you have a better option than him. I think he's your best option right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think of matchups, and you look at like if you're going up against, you know, the Ravens, where they want to smash mouth and run it right up the spine of the defense. Deion Walker doesn't do well at the point of attack when he's stood up,
Yeah.
right? It's a leverage battle, and he loses it.
He's a penetrator,
So yeah, he's a penetrator. So I don't think that bodes well. But again, like McDermott's defense is
Yeah.
getting gashed, right? So we'll see. Um, I would rather Caleb Elam-Zor start over either Bernard or Dorian.
That's been the talking camp. That he is.
I hope that happens.
He's there to take a starting job. That's his demeanor. He has been getting a lot of run with the ones. He's been making the calls in the huddle. And that him next to Bernard is the likeliest outcome. But it was interesting that, I mean, listen, it's just the first team snap, So
Right.
read into it as much as you want to. But that was Dorian Williams was out there for the first team snap. So, okay. So what do you think decides the success of this defense?
How they attack the quarterback. That's gonna be it.
That's what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks it's the pass rush.
It's yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, the Broncos they made a name off of it, feasting, right? So I'm looking at that as the model. You have to be able to effectively get after the quarterback. You got the guys in coverage. I'm not worried about the secondary, right? But you got to have guys to get to the quarterback. That's going to define success for this defense.
And see, I think you hit the nail on the head. You just didn't realize that you did. What will determine the success of this defense? The one burning question that you can ask to find out if this defense is going to be good or not. Can the secondary not be good, be elite? If the secondary can be elite, then you're going to have coverage sacks. I mean, you got guys who will get there. And any pressure that you generate, I think, is a bonus. And so, yeah, could they turn out to be great and that drives the defense, the pass rushers? Sure, they could. But I think what's more likely is that you have an elite defensive backfield that makes those pass rushers look better. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think Benford switching to a man scheme. I think he's more than capable of it. I think he's more than capable of following around a number one wide receiver. We saw them do that at times when they were afraid of somebody. And so I believe in his ability to do that. I think Hairston can make the transition to a man-to-man corner. I think he absolutely has the athletic profile for it. I'm not overly concerned about it. I think IGB is going to be a good third corner there. I don't think he's got a shot at the starting job, but I think he's going to be a good third corner there. I'm not worried about him being on the field and taking on somebody's third or fourth wide receiver. And when you have guys like D. Alford and, some other safeties that you can maybe drop in the box and have them play man, I feel really good about this coverage unit. And then that allows for Cole Bishop to be, and I almost said it and I stopped myself. He's incredibly talented. I don't think he's this guy, but I'm relating it because of the defense, not because of Bishop's talent level. So I want to say that, but it allows him to be Ed Reed, right? Like it allows him just freedom back there. If you can do everything else, then he can just be back there and make plays. And he has shown glimpses of being very good at that. I think back to that interception he had in the Saints game where he just comes out of nowhere on this little lob pass and picks it off. Like that is the guy that he can be. And so you put CJ Gardner-Johnson next to him, who's a good partner for him in that defensive backfield, I think. And You have corners that I trust. Can this secondary be elite? Can it run this defense?
I think so. I think that Christian Benford, the safeties, and I'm a little like I like Maxwell Harrison. I think he's going to fit well. I think he'll struggle against bigger, more physical wide receivers like T Higgins, like he did last year. You know, but I think the secondary is going to be great. I would even say collectively as a whole, Buffalo's secondary is better than Denver's. Now, obviously, Patrick Surtain is like the best corner in the league, but overall, I like Buffalo's secondary
Yeah, and listen,
over Denver's.
when you look at metrics, and I'm not trying to say he's the best corner in the league, but when you look at metrics, every time you see Pat Surtain on the list, guess who's number two? Benford.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he's a terrific corner that doesn't get the shine that I think he should.
none.
And so it's going to be different this year because he's going to have to play man. But um, if he keeps playing at that level, like you can run the defense through the secondary the way that Denver did. I mean, Denver still has incredible pass rushers, but I just think it helps Denver's pass rushers how good their secondary is, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you cover up for guys like Riley Moss. You know,
I
I'd
think
give
Riley
me.
Moss is a good corner. I think he's a good corner.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad. I just think because they play so much press man, he gets caught in the bind.
I do think that. And I love Jaquan McMillan. Like I wanted he was a free
Terrific
agent.
slot corner.
Oh, he's so
Terrific
good.
slot corner.
And I wanted the Bills to go after him when he was a free agent for like a hot second. I don't even know if he made it to free
Yeah,
agent. They might have signed him right before free agency, but you get what I'm saying. Like I wanted the Bills to go after him to play slot corner.
yeah. He's
Um,
an excellent slot corner.
so and I don't know. I think this Bills secondary can be on that level, even maybe better than it. And I think that'll decide, what they can do this year. Because if you trust your guys that much, then you can blitz linebackers, you can bring safeties. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can get
Yep.
creative to get pressure on the quarterback, and you don't necessarily suffer in coverage.
Yeah. I want to see Bradley Chubb and what Greg Rousseau looks like in this defense. Can Greg Rousseau, be continue to be an eight sack guy, 9 sacks, 10 sack? Can he do that?
Don't you think that he's going to end up like they're just going to end up playing a 4-man front most of the time?
Yeah, I think that's the case. But in some cases, I think him having a little bit more space on the outside to kind of, his pass rush plan, can be a little bit more free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so tightly condensed, right? So I think that's going to give him some more options to attack. So we'll see. I mean, we haven't really heard much about TJ Parker in training camp. I would like to hear about TJ and how he's transitioning. I heard Joe Marino was talking about that he needs to play with more power, so I hope that's the case. Again, it's only this is the second week of training camp, but you want to see those rookies, man. You want to hear good stuff. And I just haven't heard enough good stuff about TJ Parker. So we'll see if it comes to fruition. But here's the great news.
I think
they're about to start playing football.
I think he's a project, though. Like, you think he's going to make an impact on this team this year?
I don't know.
I think he's getting I think he's getting a lot of attention because he was their first pick, but he's a second round guy. And honestly, like their day 2 picks, I'm more excited about their day 3 picks in terms of guys who I think are
Jalen Kilgore, man.
Kilgore, yeah.
I'm so bullish on him. I just love the fact that they've been stockpiling really good athletes on defense.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they've been going after athletes. And I love that about our defense. Now it's not, we had just a bunch of smart guys. Now we have a bunch of athletic guys who can make plays on the ball. Like They got ball hawks. So I love that. So
Yeah.
let's see if they can
Kilgore
trade them up.
and Elarm Zor, and
Yeah.
I think there's a few guys who, I'm more excited about than maybe their second round pick in terms of actually making a difference this year. So
Yeah,
all
man.
right, Sterls.
So, dude.
Well, I don't want to assume anything, but maybe you come back next week. We talk big picture NFL. How you feeling about that?
I'll talk to my agent and see if that's something that we can
have your people call my people. We'll see if we can get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We can run it back next week.
See, not rusty at all. You're on here yelling, getting everybody all riled up.
I feel so unprepared. I didn't have, stats ready. None of that.
Stop it.
I didn't have nothing ready this week. So
stop it.
Unprepared.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming through. We will make sure that we're back here next week, hopefully without the technical difficulties. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to figure out next week. But I'm not sure that's going to be the case, but we'll do the best we can. And then tomorrow, Free for All Friday. So we're going to talk about all kinds of things. So, hi, boys. Hello. Some dogs just showed up. I got to go say hi to them. So.
Nice. All right, man.
Well, we'll let y'all go. We appreciate you hanging out. And like I said, tomorrow's a Free for All Friday. So come stop by the stream and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, including NFL if that's what you want to do. But thanks, everybody, for watching, and we will catch you next time. Later, Sterls.
Later, bro.